What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the ultimate beginner's guide to crafting in the First Berserker Khazan. I'm going to cover everything from where to find the necessary NPCs, the types of materials you'll need, a step-by-step look at crafting a rare weapon, bonus tips you won't find anywhere else, and much more. We're diving deep into the crafting system that many new players find overwhelming. Whether you're just starting on your journey or you've been playing for a while but haven't explored crafting yet, this video will give you all the tools you need to start creating powerful gear. Let's begin with unlocking all the NPCs you'll need for crafting and augmenting your gear. Starting with our blacksmith, Kazumaka, you can unlock his presence within Crevice after defeating the boss Aratra within the Skafa Cave mission. But he still won't have blacksmithing features available at this point. Talk to him downstairs and he'll give you a quest to retrieve his hammer. This mission is called the Blacksmith's Heirloom and is located within the Spider's Tomb. Complete that mission and he'll now craft weapons, armor, and dismantle unwanted items for new materials to craft even better gear. Moving on to Oksana, our alchemist. She becomes available within Crevice after defeating Rankus. Similarly to Kazumaka, you have to speak to her and she'll give you a quest called Kaleido. This time you travel to the Silent Temple to complete that mission and retrieve a magical puzzle box. Once retrieved, Oksana will be able to extract lacrima from items, change attributes on your weapons and armor, as well as augment gear by increasing their level and stats. Thirdly, I recommend you unlock one more NPC, Danjin. He is the #1 jar enthusiast this side of the Netherrealm. There's a couple of steps to unlock him. First, you have to defeat Valbino in Fra Village. Then, return to Crevice to speak to another NPC, Duimok. He'll offer you a bonus mission called Cradle of Jars and mention a strange guy that's looking for you. Complete the Cradle of Jars mission and he'll appear up these stairs within the Crevice. He'll gradually add more items to his shop as you collect jarlings throughout the game. You'll want to keep an eye out for crafting items such as Netherworld Mineral, Guardian Hooves, Fallen Lord's Claws, etc. These will allow you to craft gear from specific sets. On top of that, he will sell Augments of Wisdom. These are important, so I'll go more in depth on them a little bit later. With Danjin unlocked, we can now move on to crafting gear. Crafting can be a little confusing at first, so I'll give you an overview of everything. Then we'll go step by step through crafting a rare spear from the Fallen Lord set. First, I should mention that Kazumaka will only be able to craft gear from sets that you've collected the recipe for. Recipes are found as you explore throughout the game. If you want to find a specific recipe scroll, I recommend reading up on the Wiki to see where the precise location is. Okay, now let's look at Kazumaka's first crafting function, Dismantle. By selecting any gear you already possess, you can break it down into materials for new weapons and gear. For this beginner's guide, I'm only going to cover uncommon, common, and rare gear items. Materials for weapons come in the form of blades. You get battered blades from dismantling common and uncommon weapons. You get treated blades from dismantling rare weapons or crafting your battered blades into treated ones at a rate of 50-1. Similarly, materials for armor come in the form of battered shards and treated shards. Materials for necklaces and rings come in the form of battered gems and treated gems. Lastly, materials for consumables come in the forms of transmutation shards, transmutation mist, spirit orbs, and inner essence. All of these are picked up off the ground as you explore, or they randomly drop from enemies. Unfortunately, I don't know of a specific way to target farm these. If you choose Kazumaka's craft option, you can craft Imperial Soldier weapons, Pellos ceremonial armor, and consumable items. I think you'll very rarely craft basic items such as these, and that's because set bonuses are so powerful. And as for consumables, you'll craft a few items in your first playthrough. For about 90% of the game, you'll probably only need to craft 2 types of consumables, cleanse potions and resistance elixirs. Personally, I've only had to craft poison cleansing potions and poison resistance elixirs. That's because once you reach poison status, your health starts to deteriorate rapidly and there's no way to stop it unless you use a cleanse potion. Let's get into the craft set menu. Now would be a good time to briefly talk about gear sets. As you can see here, this is called the Fallen Lord set. I'm choosing this set in particular because I want to dish out more damage with my charged attacks. How do I access the set attribute? Well, I have to have 2 items from within that set to activate it. Luckily, I'm already wearing Fallen Lord's trousers. If I wanted these attributes further down, I would need 3 items from this set, and so on. For a full list of what these attributes actually do, I'll refer you to the wiki again. This screen is where I've seen a lot of people have issues. Redditors and commenters on my past videos have mentioned not knowing about one very specific function, so pay attention because this one is important. When it comes to crafting items, the default, for whatever reason, is set to rare. You don't have to craft rare items. You can change the rarity by pressing on the left stick if you're on a controller, or Control on keyboard. As you can see here, Uncommon will grant you no bonus attributes. Common gives you 1 random bonus attribute. Rare will give you 2 random attributes, so on and so forth with even higher rarities and New Game Plus and beyond. Alright, now let's get into crafting a Fallen Lord spear from scratch, making sure I have selected rare for my weapon rarity. To craft this spear, it will cost 42 battered blades, 18 treated blades, and 1 Fallen Lord's claw, as well as 3,795 gold. You're probably noticing that orange colored material, Fallen Lord's claw. This is an epic rarity material that can be collected a couple of different ways. I'll get into those more later on. For now, let's take a look at the spear we just crafted. We got 2.9% guard stamina damage decrease and 40 max stamina. That's great, right? Well, not so great.
This is the worst!
We can do better. For that, let's head over to Oksana. Hey, if you made it this far into the video, do me a favor and please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps out the channel and lets me know which type of content is providing value for you all. Okay, back to the video. Alright, so we've got our shiny new spear. Let's see if we can upgrade its level for additional damage. Now, this is only possible if we have an item of the same type. You know, spear for upgrading spears, helmets for helmets, etc. That is of higher level than the gear you want to upgrade. The boosts and stats you'll receive is a little hard to grasp at first, so here's a very basic chart I made that will hopefully clear it up. As you can see, the table up top is for augmenting weapons, and the one below is for augmenting armor. Only rarity of your material matters here. The level is meaningless. Anyway, I'll link this in the description if you're curious about the numbers. Again, I left off even higher grades like epic and legendary, etc. for sake of simplicity. Now, is that a good system or bad? I'll leave that up to you, but for now, this is how the game works. The rarity is the only thing that matters here. You can see that this nameless mercenary spear is literally 55 levels higher than Soul Piercer. Doesn't matter. It's only upgrading it by 2 levels and 4 attack because it's uncommon. Jumping back to our newly crafted Fallen Lord spear, let's upgrade it with Crushed Dream Spear. Since it's of uncommon rarity, it upgrades Fallen Lords by 1 level and 3 attack damage, which brings it to level 79 with an attack damage of 344. Alright, let's move on to our final crafting step, change attributes, or what I like to call attribute gotcha. Still at Oksana, we select change attributes. We then select our Fallen Lord spear. This is the part where I said we could do better a few moments ago. Here we can change the random attributes on the weapon. For now, let's select the second option, max stamina. I want something on my weapon that increases our damage output. So we press the view attributes button like it shows down below. On my PS4 controller, that's going to be the share button. Since max stamina was selected, it shows it as an attribute at the top in yellow. It also shows the range that you can roll, from 20 to 40 in this case. And wouldn't you know it, we rolled a perfect 40 on a stat that we're going to reroll anyway.
That is one unlucky guy.
Below that attribute, all the ones in white text are attributes that could possibly roll if we decided to spend our 815 lacrima in the process. If you need help figuring out what some of these do, you can get some answers from your encyclopedia in the main menu, or, once again, read up on the wiki. Now, there's a lot of options, so landing on the right one is likely going to take a lot of lacrima, but more on that in a second. Then, at the bottom, you see grayed out options. These cannot roll and replace our max stamina. Anyway, I'm aiming for something like attack damage 11 to 22, or damage increase 1.4 to 2.9%. I'd be really happy with any of these options. So let's gamble and see what happens. Wow, that's gross. We got even less stamina this time. And if you notice, the cost to reroll went from 815 to 896. And it's not going to stop there. It will keep getting more expensive the more we roll for random attributes. But let's try again. Well, brutal attack damage multiplier isn't a bad option, but I still want something better. I'm not going to make you sit through all the rerolls, so I'm going to stop right here. Damage multiplier increase 2% is actually really good, I think. So we could stop there and be happy that we only spend a few thousand lacrima, but since this is the ultimate guide for crafting, let me show you a couple of things you could do if you wanted to roll for something better, but the lacrima price was bogging you down. For one, you could run over to Kazumaka, spend 994 gold to craft common Pellos ceremonial vests. Actually, craft several because they're really cheap. Then take those over to Oksana to extract the lacrima. You can convert these to 1063 lacrima each. Not too bad. Actually, I think the amount depends on the level of ceremonial vest that you crafted, but even at lower levels, it's still worth the price. Heck, you could even level yourself up this way by spending enough gold. But anyway, take the newly gained lacrima and roll a few more times for a better attribute on your spear. The second thing you could do is to spend an Augment of Wisdom to reset the cost of rolling back down to the original 815 lacrima, or whatever the item started out for you. You probably want to save these for later on in your playthrough, or even New Game Plus, because you're limited to the amount you can buy, 16 to be exact. You can find some more throughout various locations, but I believe they are random drops. You can purchase these Augments of Wisdom from our good old friend Danjin, the third NPC we unlocked earlier. Head over to his Materials tab. He sells them for 10,000 lacrima a piece. Keep in mind, you need to find at least 15 jarlings for these to show up in his shop. Anyway, as for our Fallen Lord Spear, I did spend some more lacrima for rerolls, and we eventually got to damage increase 2.4%. But it was at the cost of one Augment of Wisdom. You're welcome. Hit the like and subscribe buttons to help me cover the cost of that new Augment of Wisdom. So to sum up that whole process we just went through, we crafted a rare level 78 Fallen Lord Spear with 231 attack damage and 2 random attributes. We then augmented it with our higher level Crushed Dream Spear, turning it into a level 79 spear with 234 damage. Then we decided to reroll the max stamina attribute for something more offensive. In the process, we spent lacrima and an Augment of Wisdom, but we finally settled on a plus 2.4% damage increase. Well done, everyone. We crafted a weapon from start to finish. Crafting armor, necklaces, and rings are the exact same process. The only difference is that you can't craft set necklaces or rings, so I think we can skip those for now. Let's jump over to consumables. Crafting consumables is super straightforward. Go to Kazumaka and select Craft, tab over to the consumables section. As you can see, there are a few different categories of items. Vitality Spheres will temporarily increase your stamina regen. The Cleanse Potions will remove status effects. Resistance Elixirs will temporarily boost your resistance to a specific element. Enhancers will grant elemental attributes to your weapon for a short time. Spirit Ore will restore your spirit by 30%. Fuel are throwable objects that will deal elemental damage on hit. And lastly, Essences are also throwable objects that deal elemental damage over time to enemies within their range. As I mentioned earlier, you need a combination of transmutation shards, transmutation mist, spirit orbs, and inner essences, plus some gold to craft these. These are definitely not necessary to complete your first playthrough, but hey, they're there if you want that extra cushion of safety and boost in power. Hopefully you stuck around this far into the video because I've got some bonus tips for you. Let's make them short and sweet. Number 1, collect and equip at least 4 items from the Bard's set. These will give you a plus 20% item drop as well as plus 15% to weapon drop. Number 2, farm previous boss fights for set items and epic crafting materials. For instance, if you notice a Fallen Lord's spear I crafted at the beginning required a Fallen Lord's claws, well, that epic material drops randomly from defeating Viper. On the flip side, Viper will also randomly drop items from the Fallen Lord set, and the Butcher set if I'm not mistaken. To see which epic materials you'll need for which sets, head over to Kazamaka and go through each set individually. You'll see the legendary material required, then you have to refer back to an online wiki. Damn, they really should put more of this game's information inside your menus. Number 3, keep all set necklaces and set rings that drop from enemies. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot craft set necklaces and rings, but they will drop randomly from enemies. And just like other gear, you can augment them into higher levels to increase their max health and max stamina. As an example, the Guardian Knight set is not available on any gear besides necklaces and rings. Now, I don't use Spirits of Advocacy, but if that was your playstyle, you could boost their damage by 50%. I haven't seen anything else that boosts by 50%. That's pretty insane. And number 4, upgrade your gear and steps. Ideally, you want to use material to augment your gear that is only a level above. And that's because, as I mentioned earlier, level of material does not matter. For example, it makes no sense to augment a level 50 helmet with a level 80 helmet, when a level 51 would have provided the same amount of stats. Instead, level your favorite gear and steps until it reaches the highest level you can manage. If you found this guide helpful, please let me know down below. If there's anything I missed, leave it down below as well because it will help out other players looking for crafting tips. And if you want to see more content like this, then check out this video on how to dramatically increase your success rate of reflections against bosses.